यहाँ पे इतना मोटिवेशनल एटमॉस्फेयर है कि आप आगे बढ़ते ही जाएंगे।
Welcome viewers. I am Professor Ashish Agarwal, Program Coordinator for MBA Logistics and Supply Chain Management from School of Engineering and Technology, Indira Gandhi National Open University, IGNOU. In your MBA Logistics and Supply Chain Management, though it talks about as a whole about logistics and supply chain management, but we have kept several courses in the course curriculum of this MBA program. The first course which will introduce you about logistics and supply chain management is MMPO 005, that is Logistics and Supply Chain Management. It will brief you about the concept of logistics and or supply chain management. So when we talk about logistics and supply chain management, it covers two aspects. One is your logistic management and second is your supply chain management. In today's session, what we will do, we will try to define logistics and logistic management as well as supply chain management. Why we study the supply chain management? Today, everybody talks about supply chain management, while in 2000 or 2005 till 2005, nobody knows about supply chain management. If I used to talk that my research topic is supply chain management, so normally people ask me what does it mean? But today even a small child can tell you that yes, the milk is coming to his colony because of the better supply chain. That is why we try to put you in an analysis that why we study supply chain management, what is the importance of supply chain management, what is the scope of supply chain management. And one important aspect which always we neglect is the development chain, because it is the intersection between the development chain and the supply chain management we decide the architecture of a supply chain. So I will start my session with a you can say small example, you can say big example. Because a small example, because I have given a very few data. Big example, because the company is very large. National Semiconductor Company, which is a largest chip maker, which is a very important and significant component in many component or products. So their competitors are just like Motorola and Intel Corporation, because they also make the chips. The products which they are making, that is used in the fax machine, cellular phones, computers, cars. Fabrication unit is USA and UK. Testing is in China, Malaysia and Singapore. And the finished product is shipped and the facility is all over the world. Ford company, IBM, Siemens, Apple, Canon, you just name they are using the chip made by National Semiconductor. Now I have given 2 points. Service level. If the commitment is of 45 days that the product which we are going to deliver, then in 95% cases the delivery is within 45 days. In only 5% cases the delivery is more than 45, but still it is between 45 to 90 days. 12 airlines carriers are using for routing 20,000 different zones and the routes. I have given this example to show you to think the complexity of the supply chain. You just see that manufacturing units are at different place, testing units are different place, shipping is through airline carrier. Still in 95% they are maintaining the service level of 45 days. Just see the example and think about the importance of the supply chain and the logistics. What plays an important role in keeping the service level 95% is the logistics and the management of logistics. So if we understand what is logistics, it is basically the process of planning, implementing, controlling the efficient flow of storage of goods, service and related information from point of origin to the point of consumption to meet the customer requirement. This is the logistic. Where it focuses, as if we recall the example of National Semiconductor, the focus is on transportation using 12 airline carriers, then warehousing, because the 100% delivery at a right time cannot be done. So you have to keep the items or the product in the warehouse. Another important thing is inventory management. Once you are making the chips, you are using certain types of raw material. For that, you have to maintain a proper inventory so that there should not be any stock out conditions. Another important focus is order fulfillment, because you have to maintain a good service level. So order fulfillment is very, very essential. There are two types of logistics. One is inbound logistics and the second one is your outbound logistics. Inbound logistics deals with the flow of material and supplies to the company. In just opposite, if we talk about the outbound logistic, it manages the distribution of finished goods to the final customer. This is an example of supply chain about which we are talking. Basically, it contains different parties or the trading partners which involve directly or indirectly in fulfilling a customer requirement. Normally, our students ask, sir, what are the players in a supply chain? Supply chain or the supply chain management is not like a straight line, as we are discussing that it includes manufacturers, suppliers, transporter, warehouse, retailers and customers. It is a straight line that there is a manufacturer, on the left side suppliers, right side transporter, warehouse, retailer and customer. But it is just like a tree, banyan tree, many branches. The manufacturer may be several manufacturers. As in the example we have quoted that there are 3 manufacturing units. The suppliers may be tier 1 supplier, tier 2 supplier, tier 3 supplier. So supply chain is not very simple. Transporters can be different. They may be arm length relationship transporter, where we have to take the services of transporter. After service, we say goodbye to them. Another type of strategic transporter, where we have to keep them for a longer time. Warehouses. There are several type of warehouses, and another type of warehouses is the cross-docking, where the items do not sit in the warehouse, but they distributed or divided from the outside of the warehouses. This is called the cross-docking. Another important thing is the retailer. When from warehouse, because warehouse do not sell any item, so item has to reach retailer which is nearer to the customer. Now the customer will come to the retailer and gets the product. In other direction, what will happen? That the retailer will raise the invoice for getting their shelf filled by the item which has been taken by the customer. Another important player is the customer. Supply chain start moving as the customer comes to the retailer. When he or she takes any item, supply chain start working. He will take some item, that means there is a space in the shelf. In the meantime, for the product, he will give some money that will pass on from retailer to warehouse to distributor to the manufacturer, and then manufacturer to the supplier. On the other hand, the information will also pass from retailer to the manufacturer about the consumption of the product or the feedback from the customer. So what is happening in a typical supply chain? We are procuring certain raw material, certain components, human resource, all we are procuring, and then producing a product in one or two factories or more factories. Then after making, we will ship the product or for the final delivery or for the ultimate storage. Here, after ultimate storage, as per the order, we will ship the product to the final customer or the retailer. Now we will give you the example of a simple supply chain. When any customer goes to any mall or any big retail house, what will happen? He will purchase, for example, he will purchase some detergent in some supermarket. Now, from where this detergent will come? Nowadays, when we talk about the latest or the IT-enabled supply chain, here the invoice is automatically transformed and the data from the invoice gets filled in the Excel sheet. So same thing happen here, that as the customer takes the detergent packet, the information will pass across the supply chain. Now, who is the manufacturer of the detergent? That may be Procter & Gamble or Hindustan Lever or any other company. So, Procter & Gamble or any other manufacturer will supply the detergent to the supermarket. Now, what are the components of a detergent? It may be some chemical, then some packaging and some plastic products. So plastic products are coming from again manufacturer of a chemical. Packaging is coming from the paper manufacturer or from the timber industry. Timber industry will pass on the product to the paper manufacturer. From here it will go to the packaging industry. So this will give you a picture of a detergent supply chain, that and as soon as the customer takes the detergent, supply chain start moving from timber to the paper industry or chemical industry. So if we define a supply chain, basically supply chain management is nothing but the coordination of all activities: procurement, manufacturing, delivery, distribution, warehousing. All these, when we coordinate it in a proper way, so that raw material from sourcing it reach to the final delivery in a shape of the final product. Another question which comes in your mind, that what SCM does. As in the previous slide, we have pointed out that it integrates the various functions, just like logistic, procurement, manufacturing, customer service. All these activities are integrated, and the purpose is to maximize the performance of a supply chain. Another thing, to minimize the cost, to improve the service level. So this is the all activities which normal supply chain does. There are so many activities, because this what I am telling is the conventional supply chain. Now the several E-shaped supply chains or the virtual supply chains are coming into the existence, where there is no need to raise the invoice. It will take automatically with the help of radio frequency identification device, and it will deliver, it will take the order itself, because there is a mutual trust between the retailer and the manufacturer. Another question which normally I ask from the my students, that why there is need of a supply chain management. There are few issues which we try to tackle in the supply chain management. First thing is that you see, with the help of the computerization, with the help of IT enablement, the operations is improving. Now, when the operation is improving, we have to provide the raw material at right time, at right quantity, at right place. In order to maintain the improvement, we need the supply chain management. Another important thing, as the time is passing on, the focus of everybody is on their own competency. If I take the example of a auto manufacturer or four-wheeler manufacturer, the competency is to make the car or the engine. The tire or the glass is not the core competency of the four-wheeler manufacturer. So what they will do? They will outsource it. Same thing is true with the transportation. Transportation is also not a core activity of a four-wheeler manufacturer. So what they will do? They will outsource it to the Gati or FedEx, any courier company or outsourcing company, they will pass on. As we are covering the global, pan-India, there are so many routes, so the transportation cost is increasing. If from Gurugram the vehicle is going to Pune for delivering the four-wheeler or the vehicle, it will come empty from Pune to Delhi or the Gurugram. So how you will optimize the transportation cost? This takes the help of the supply chain management. The fourth point is the global competition or the enhancement of the global competition. Earlier, about I think 10 years back, we have on the road Maruti, Hyundai, Tata. Now just see, you are more than 10 brands are available in Delhi only. More than 10 brands. So what is happening? The pressure is building to the manufacturer to come with the first thing, with the technological development, research and development, and the minimum time to reach to the customer, and the digital marketing. That the product or the marketing should be in such a way the customer bound to see the characteristics of the product made by a four-wheeler manufacturer. Same thing is happening globalization. This I am talking about the India, when the companies are increasing. Now with the increasement or the enhancement of globalization, we have to meet the global competition. Importance of e-commerce. Now, all the parts, even you will surprise to know that the parts which are used in the four-wheeler, they are also came through e-com company. There are so many e-company because there are small manufacturer who will make and they will put their product on the e-com company website. Here the big player, they will see and they will compare the price and the quality and the parameters and they will order through e-com company. So just see that when the everything is available on the net and the e-commerce, because e-commerce is making help in two ways. First, your business more faster, which you have not imagined 10 years back. Another thing is that the complexity of supply chain is increasing. As I told you, supply chain is not a single layer supply chain. That you have a supplier, you have a manufacturer, distributor, warehouse, retailer, and those. No, because here the manufacturer may be 3 types of manufacturer. The suppliers may be of multiple tier suppliers. So the complexity is increasing. So when the complexity is increasing, you need to have the supply chain management. Even in the case of the COVID-19, we have a better supply chain. That is why we manage the storage and the distribution of our vaccine. Another important point is the managing inventories. When the supply chain is complex, there are so many types of inventories or the items whose inventory is to be maintained so that the company should not face any stock out position. Here few examples that in supply chain management, our effort is to match the supply and the demand. And there are few cases just like Boeing aircraft, US Surgical, IBM, Intel, they were not able to match their supply or their demand with the supply. So they suffer a lot. We have normally, there are so many textbooks. We have the IGNOU study material which have been prepared by the experts from IITs and NITs, but still the definition mentioned, standard definition mentioned in one of the book written by Simchi Levy, it is a set of approaches utilized efficiently to integrate supplier, manufacture, warehouse, store, so that merchandise is produced and distributed in right quantity to the right location at right time in order to minimize the system-wide cost while satisfying the service level requirement. This is the standard definition of a supply chain management. What we observe from this definition? First, there is impact on the cost while fulfilling the customer requirement. Second important point is that supply chain management is a system approach. It is not an individual approach. Third thing, that there is a need of integration of all the members at three levels, that is the strategical level, long term, tactical, medium level, operational, day-to-day levels. The supply chain management, though we will take a brief of this, that supply chain cannot be analyzed in isolation. There is another chain which is known as development chain that works along with the supply chain. Development chain, which comes from the product design to the product architecture and it interacts with the supply chain. And the beauty of the development chain is that the architecture of the product decide the strategy of the supply chain. Supply chain strategy should be aligned with the goals of the organization. There are two goals. One is minimization of the cost and another one is the maintaining the service level. When we talk, these are the two conflicting goals on the same time. We also want to minimize the cost, but we also want to maintain the service level. So in today's session, we have talked about the supply chain management. What are the players in the supply chain? What is the importance of the supply chain? Why we study the supply chain? And what is the importance of the supply chain, just like managing the inventory, the complexity of the supply chain is increasing, outsourcing is increasing. That is why we are focusing on managing the supply chain management. Another important point which we have taken in the last is the development chain. The development chain is very important. When you decide the supply chain strategy, you have to consider the development chain. I trust my session will be useful to all of you and you will come with more ideas on the supply chain management. Thank you. Thank you very much.